This is Ethan, and I'm here with Dave, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 14-inch.
On this episode, we talk to the man behind the entire VIP experience at every Weird Al concert, JW Hallford.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Every time I hear that theme song performed by the Grammy-nominated Jim Kimo West, I absolutely love it more.
I can't agree with you more, Dave. Speaking of Jim Kimo West, he has a brand new single coming out on August 9th called Burrimantingo, and it's going to be on iTunes and everywhere you get music, and on Spotify and on his website if you buy his special USB drive. So you can check that out. And you can also check Jim out on August 28th at Square Cat Vinyl in Indianapolis. He's going to be doing a solo show.
That's the day right before Weird Al's Indianapolis concert. So, I mean, if you're going to go to that Indianapolis show, be sure to catch Jim's solo show like the day before. And Ethan, I know both you and I have seen Jim perform solo multiple times, and he puts on an amazing, beautiful show. And not only is the music fantastic, but like he's a great storyteller too.
I love when he actually sings, like when he sings the Hawaiian lyrics. He doesn't do it for all the songs, but that's always a highlight for me. He doesn't do a whole lot of shows outside of, Hawaii and California. So this is a great opportunity. Anytime Jim is near you, whether it's with Weird Al or not, go see him.
Yeah, you don't want to miss it. His show is pretty stinking majestic.
Did you hear that this past weekend, Al actually returned to My Little Pony to reprise his role as Cheese Sandwich?
Yes, I did. That came out on August 3rd. And if you missed it, the episode is called The Last Laugh, and you can catch it on Discovery Family.
Man, can you believe how great that Red Rock show was?
That was by far my favorite concert of this tour. I was just... Everything about it was spoiler alert, I guess, for our centimeter episode there. But everything about it was absolutely like amazing. Just how beautiful that venue was, wasn't it? Just absolutely.
It was unbelievable, and it even rained on us during the show, and that couldn't hamper my opinion of the show. It was just so great.
I mean, let me tell you how cool this was. When we walked into the Red Rocks Amphitheater, there was a gigantic rainbow just looking out over top of Denver. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is just going to be so epic. And that's before we even got into the amphitheater. We saw that.
Yeah, but then if you remember, like a few minutes later, it was a double rainbow.
It was.
It was amazing.
It was like, okay, we're going to not only is this rainbow awesome, we're just going to make it even cooler. We're just going to make it a double rainbow.
Yeah, so that was fun. Everyone was always telling me, hey, you got to go to Red Rocks. And I'm so glad I did. That was a lot of fun. And I had a great time in Denver to top it off. So that was really cool.
Yeah, and the sound was absolutely amazing. We're going to go into more detail on this in our bonus episode, 20 centimeter, of course. But I mean, just everything about it, the lights bouncing off the rocks, and talking to some of the ushers, and they even said that they never saw a crowd like so enthusiastic at a concert there before from Weird Al fans. So
I can imagine.
It was just amazing.
Everyone was just having a great time. Another can't miss event is coming up, Dave. I don't know if you are going to find yourself in Darwin, Minnesota anytime soon, but on the 10th of August, they are doing Twine Ball Day.
Yes, every year they do this thing called Twine Ball Day, and it's on the second Saturday of August, and it happens to be this upcoming weekend. And it's actually the 28th annual Twine Ball Day, and it's going to be absolutely, absolutely amazing. I wish we could be there. I mean, there's going to be a Twine K run, which I'm assuming is a 5K run,
right?
A volleyball tournament, a museum at the actual ball itself. There's going to be a parade, a pie eating contest, and live music.
A kids pie eating contest.
I know. It's like the entire day. I think they start at 7:30 and they go to 11 p.m. at night.
That's hilarious.
So if you're anywhere near Darwin, Minnesota, or you want an excuse to go to Darwin, Minnesota this weekend, I think this is the weekend you got to go, right?
This is, yeah. I mean, last year was the time you should have gone, the 27th annual, but yeah, this one will be fine too, I'm sure.
I think they're going to top this. Whatever happened at the 27th, I think they're going to top it at the 28th annual. I wish we could have planned it better so we could have been there, because I think that's like that would right up our alley. We could have had a live podcast broadcast from there. Oh man, it would have been awesome.
Can you imagine though, like the folks of Darwin, Minnesota, really the only thing their town is known for is the twine ball. They must get sick of it, and then now they have a day where they're celebrating it every year for the past 28 years. They must. Maybe they love it.
I do think they love it, because everything I've heard about is that if you go up there to the Twine Bowl, they absolutely will really make it a great experience for anyone who comes out to their town. And I know they really love Weird Al. Like you say, if you're a Weird Al fan, I've heard that they really treat you well.
That's awesome.
They love that he's. So I've only heard positive things about Darwin, Minnesota, and I'm really kind of looking forward to going there someday. I got to just make it work in my schedule.
I think you're on the right track. Earlier, I think we need to broadcast live from the Twine Ball. I think that's the only, second Saturday, August 2020. Let's do it.
All right. Put that in your calendars to our listeners. And if you're going to the actual Twine Ball Day celebration, please let us know. Tweet us at 2000inch.com or call us at 347-SPATULA and tell us all about your event, about your day. I'd love to, I'd love to hear about from somebody who was there what it's exactly like, because it sounds amazing on paper.
One of the more exciting things, I think even more exciting than Twine Ball Day, is if you get a VIP ticket at a Weird Al show, and if you've done one ever since the Mandatory Fun Tour, if you've done a VIP experience, you've met our next guest. He is the guy who runs the VIP experience at every Weird Al concert. He gives us the inside scoop on the tour posters this year, when he hosted Jeopardy, Wheel of Fish, the costume contest. Everything that has been in the VIP experience is run by JW Hallford.
We are here with probably the hardest working person in Weird Al's organization, JW Hallford.
Hey, how are you guys? What's going on?
Well, we're so excited we get to talk to you. Now, for those of you who don't know JW, he basically runs the entire VIP experience at the Strings Attached tour, and as well as on some of the previous tours. You started, what was your first tour that you started at?
The
JW?
first tour I started was in Mandatory Fun, which was in 2015. And since then, I pretty much, the VIP program was, there's other people involved, but kind of I've been nurturing it and, evolving it and, created mostly all the stuff in it since day one. It's my pet project, I guess is the word.
Well, I remember my first Mandatory Fun shows right at the beginning of the tour. It was one of the Vegas shows. And you come out and you're dressed as a general, and there's a big party and a celebration and
Right.
Wheel of Fish. So tell me about, the outfit and everything that went into the Mandatory Fun experience, because that was just so memorable.
That tour, so that was like when we first started doing it, it was, we were just like, okay, so it's the Mandatory Fun Tour. He's a czar, he's crazy, wacky, a dictator kind of thing. And so we just had that kind of motif. And, I had, grown up with a, probably expert to greatest in the world knowledge of Weird Al. And, was excited to apply those things. I really they wanted to do it all military theme. So we embraced that as the general look with the podium and the flags and kind of like a military propaganda image. But I really, pushed for the Wheel of Fish to be part of the thing. And then as far as, the Wheel of Fish was the real, we knew we were going to do the Wheel of Fish. We knew we were going to do a dance contest and stuff. And we were hey, we'll have these wacky little interludes where you come in. But, at the first couple times that we did it, it was very I remember the first show in Las Vegas where we were going to do the Wheel of, and I was incredibly nervous and just oh, I'm going to give this speech to these people and who knows how they're going to react. And then, if you cut forward to Mandatory Fun, the second year, by the time we're in, I don't know, Poughkeepsie, where I worked with you, right? That was Poughkeepsie?
It's Schenectady.
Schenectady.
Yes.
Schenectady. By the time we reached there, it's I'm full on, it just involved, like, it was a really great, vessel of, like, it just kind of, like, evolved, and then you were doing all these crazy things, and by the end of the, like, trashing the room and stuff, like, and, like, singing songs, and, like, the dance contest became the costume, like, it was, like, this long ceremonial 30-minute thing with all these elaborate parts, When it first started off, I mean, Dave, were you at those? Any of them?
No, I might have been at one on the first tour. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like when it first started off, it was very kind of just like it's like well, it's like now it's time for the dance, but then it became like this kind of like crazy involved thing, and like
it became like a real big party.
Yeah, it was a great party, and like what was exciting about it was the fact that the fans are really great. They're from all over, different walks of life, with one common unifying factor. That they all like, Weird Al sort of like appeared into their life at some sort of weird part in their life, just like myself, actually. And we can get into that in a little bit. But they just kind of like discovered him, and then all of a sudden, it's not just the VIP thing, but the VIP thing became a place where they could all kind of congregate together and meet each other. And I'm not sure, like, I do believe that people made you guys probably met from VIP related incidents. Yes,
no. We knew each other before VIP, but certainly other people. I mean, I meet people all the time.
Well, it brings like, especially once we got to the bigger events, and then it was like a meeting of the minds. Like there's it felt like the Galactic Synod of Supreme Nerdom. Like they're all. They're all represented from the different, like, represented from, like, hey, they're all here, and they're competing in some wacky, they've all dressed up in costume, and they're competing for a signed drum head, and to be kind of like, and the thing about it that made it fun is the fact that a lot of these people, and like, they're somewhat shy, and so we would take the people that, were typically wallflowers and not the life of the party, make them the life of the party. They really enjoy it because they're getting encouraged by the other people.
Right.
And it's just like it was a really unique, fun experience.
It's a safe space for, people of all walks of life, with that, like you said, the common bond of being a Weird Al fan.
Right, yeah. So it was like a nice, it was, I look back on the Mandatory Fun era in very, very high regard.
So one thing I wanted to ask JW, if anyone had been to the Mandatory Fun VIP party, a really amazing part was the traveling museum of Weird Al artifacts and costumes, and you had a part in putting that together.
So just so we're clear, I had a part, like almost every detail of all the VIP things. I am very micromanagely involved in, just for the record, but like down to like stuff that probably doesn't matter, but it just become, as I said, it's a pet project. But yes, the museum was very cool to do. So like we do museums on other tours, and like I had worked for George Strait for a period of time when we first started doing the museums as like a VIP element, and eventually I started really pushing for that it would be really cool to do a Weird Al museum, so then, flash forward to like, we're going to the archives at Bermuda's house, and I literally went through everything, like looked at every single. So then I was like, that's not enough. So he was like, well, there's stuff in the vault, So literally, I'm working my way through this storage unit, like through the front, like and then like. He's like, well, that's pretty much it. Like, no. Like, let's keep going. It's like, there's still stuff back there. So end up getting towards the back corner. And oh my gosh, there was some like sweet stuff back there. Like all the costumes are like, just hidden. And then like kept digging a little further. And like the biggest find that I did find there. So like back in the corner, dusted off. Like right, it's literally, and I swear to God, it was like finding the the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail. It's a handwritten script to UHF, notebook paper, page for page, exactly what is like in the movie. So it's like, and it's like not like your type script. This is like a first draft of like a movie that, I grew up. So I'm from Tulsa, And that's
no
where.
way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that is where UHF was filmed. For those of you who are not familiar with Weird Al, they're somehow listening to this podcast.
Yeah, why are you listening?
That's where I'm from. I got wind of Weird Al in like right around when it was filming because they, people were like, oh, Weird Al's in town, etc. It's like, and my cousin was a really cool guy, and like he had like, I remember he had like a surgeon thing up, like they used to have those little mailer cards with the chain, like, and it's like Weird Al with the chainsaw. And I used to think that was funny, and just didn't finally, put all things together. But UHF was a big part of my discovery of it.
We recently talked on an episode about some of the locations in UHF. Where, when you were watching the movie, where you're like, "Hey, that's where we got our car." Or, "Hey, that's where Fluffy's
there's
buried."
this place called Warehouse Market that's Spatula City, and then there's this place called, and so like that's right down where my friend lives. And then there's another place, or Big Edna's, or
the burger.
That's Hardin's Burgers, and the rest of the places, like one of them's like a really closed down mall that like really went to hell a long, long time ago. And then, but I'll tell you this about UHF. So like, the thing about Tulsa and UHF is like people's moms and dads are extras and UHF. And like it's like, oh, my mom's the person that's behind RJ Fletcher at the thing. And like the
That's
guy,
amazing.
Yeah, so like I moved a couch one time with the guy who's like, take that ridiculous thing off, and takes off the mustache.
That guy?
Yeah, that guy specifically. Yeah, he's friends with my friend. That
sounds like a lame claim to fame to me.
Yeah, he's friends with my friend Ian's mom.
Whoa.
And like we had to move this couch. And it's like, oh my god, it's I can't remember his name, but he's from UHF. Like he's the guy. He's like, oh wow, I love UHF. And yeah, that's like the kind of town that Tulsa is. It's a small town, but a big town. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of cool. I went to Tulsa and I got to kind of check out all the different sites that were, where UHF was filmed. That was one of the best days I had, just going around seeing everything, like you said.
Right.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about how you first discovered Weird Al.
So first discovery of Weird Al, my first conscious memory of Weird Al is kind of like looking at the, like my cousin was like in a metal band that was on MTV and stuff, but he had his room, he had like posters everywhere, and then like, there was like the images of like, they're just like, I don't know if they're album inserts or like cutouts, but it's the classic image of Al like having the...
Yeah, like some poster flat or...
poster flat of like a surgeon, and just thinking that's like, oh my God, that's hilarious. And then like UHF came out, and then like my really first, dig into Weird Al was my next door neighbor, Philip Napier, like who used to babysit us, had Off the Deep End, and like we like it's like I remember like listening to like You Don't Love Me Anymore and being like, what is this? And that's not even a parody. But then like I was like, this is the thing. So then like next thing I know, I was like, there's more, like, and so went in. I like started getting like, I mean, it was the only music that I listened to for a very long, probably awkwardly period of time.
I'm still in that phase, JW.
I know, I grew out of it, but then I dived right back in. But it was, I got everything on cassette, and this was back when you used to go to the, it was like Sam Goody or like whatever kind of thing, and the cassettes were at the long thing, and like you'd go and look for Weird Al, and it's like, yeah, like they've got Polka Party. I don't have this one. It's like the first real taste of consumerism that you've experienced, and like the hunt for grabbing like stuff that you like, like, oh yeah, I know, and you like know what they have, like. And then I remember, fun story. I remember like getting really, really, really good grades. So this is the cassette period. I got really, really good grades so that my mom would special order me UHF soundtrack, which was not readily available.
That was the hard one to get.
Yeah, that was the hard one to get. So I got that, and then, my life was complete. I remember one particular road trip where we went up to Michigan from Oklahoma, and like me listening to Even Worse on cassette, like just like blaring I Think I'm a Clone Now, and just that was the jam, like that was like, those are memorable times. And then, you know, obviously the transition from doing that is collecting all the CDs once that came out, and you grew up a little bit. And I look back on it. Finally, my first concert with Weird Al was actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right around the Off the Deep End tour. And I look back on this memory very fondly. Like, my dad put out, like, they knew that, like, oh, you know, I went on that, like, you know, like, you see these kids and, like, I can see myself in, like, the younger generation of them. Like, I remember when I was like, oh my God, Weird Al.
Right, your first experience.
Your first experience is like, I remember clearly, you know, my dad placing out a newspaper on the breakfast counter, like, of like, Weird Al's coming to Tulsa, and like me being like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, like so incredibly excited. Like, it was just like, what? You know, like, and then like he got my cousin, the same one that I was talking about, Tommy, to take me to the show, and we went to the Brady Theater, which was like, ironically, like the second venue that I worked for Al at, besides the Planet Hollywood show. So really the first real venue.
Wow.
Yeah, no, incredibly full circle moment. And I was actually just talking to Al the other day about this. Like, I remember, you know, first of all, it blew my mind. Like, I remember, you know, the videos and everything. But most importantly, I remember, like, in one more minute, he was walking by the front there. And, you know, he, like, I was talking to Al about this gag, like, in one more minute where he pulls the underwear out. And, like, when I was, like, I don't know, I must have been, like, 10 or 11.
Yeah.
My mind just be like, what just happened? Like, I couldn't even fathom, like, oh, my God! Like, bravo! Like, slow clap, Orson Welles, like, that, he just pulls... You know, like, what? And I was telling Al, like, that was like the gag that, like, besides the fat suit, and I remember that, you know, like, back then, I can, like, so my memory is very weird but good. Like, I remember, like, there were, like, Paula Abdul was one of the Al TV things. I remember for whatever reason, the Paula Abdul interview, and him pulling the underwear out and just be like, whoa, like, I can't believe it. Shut up. He just did that. But yeah, look back on it very fondly. So
you mentioned full circle with you know, going back to that theater in Tulsa, and I feel like another full circle thing I want to bring up is you mentioned one of your first introductions to Al was seeing a poster on your cousin's wall, and now there's this great thing that you're doing this current tour, the Strings Attached tour. There are 64 different posters exclusive to VIPs, and you're the mastermind behind this really cool project.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, we can probably get into, like, so I have a huge, you know, I've listened to the song base and probably, you know, expert level to maven to supreme master level of knowledge of Weird Al just through growing up with it, and, you know, through listening to when I was at such an impressionable age, it's like embedded into my, you know-how, because I do have a good memory. So one of the things that I thought would be fun, and, you know, a lot of this comes to limitations on the VIP experience from previous years, but me wanting to deliver to the fans something unique and well thought out, because I felt that, you know, the VIP brand was, you know, what people really like about it is the fact that we go so into the details of it, as you would in like a Weird Al video or something, and make that. So yeah, like you know, I guess kind of we decided to do unique show posters for each individual show, and then I kind of, you know, just really started to micromanage that and try to make one for, I was like, well, what would be the best way to diversify this and to cover a lot of ground so that this is like something that people are really going to enjoy, you know, and like, because, you know, you think about the different ways to do different posters, and if you like let people just kind of have full range of the posters, then it's not going to have the
You're going to get the same poster, you know, 30 times.
That's right. You're going to get the same version of Al. So I really took the reins of micromanaging it down to like specifically writing out like, you know, at a certain time I don't know, I guess it was last November, I found a little time on my hands and like wrote down every single date. And like, or first I came up with a list of what I thought would be, I listened to like every single song again, and then like listen to like what I thought would be a cool poster image from that specific song, specifically that I've made a list of about, I don't know, probably 100 to 120 of them, and then took those and matched those up with dates that I thought would be geographically relevant.
See, I like that there's so much thought that went into it. Like, it makes the posters are already amazing, but knowing the detail and the planning that went into it makes it just even that much more incredible.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that, and then the response has been really warm. So, like, when you're like, some would say I was just like working to work, but I felt that, I was, Amadeus kind of serving my purpose, like, like doing like the weird gods were working through me as a vessel. It felt very good to just like to put that out into existence. And then also, it like when people really liked them online, that was very rewarding, obviously, because I was, I had a lot of time on my hands. I wanted to make something cool, and I did work. To work with all those different artists is a bit tricky, like they're all great, magnificent artists, but just, you realize, whoa, I got myself into a situation where I have to follow up with a bunch of different people, and like, I'm proud of myself for doing it. I love that everybody loves them. I'm glad they're available on t-shirts. The reason that we made them so limited edition is because I grew up as a comic book guy, like glorified comic book guy, and there's something to be said about there's only so many of these available to make it for the people that get them to be like to cherish them and collectible. Now, did I know that people were going to be like, we need these, I thought that people would just think they were cool, like I was like, I'm going to make something cool. People are going to like it. It's like, what? It's like, I didn't mean to. Like, I didn't like, it wasn't like an intentional foul. I just thought that, like, oh, hey, cool, a Melanie poster. Like, but, like, gladly they are available, and, hopefully, maybe it's in some way or fashion they'll become more available to other people, but who knows, like the future is in your, like, what I'll say is this, is like, you guys, the fans, who are great, and I love every single one of you guys, you put a star on the Walk of Fame, so you could probably get done what, more specifically Dave, put a star on the Walk of Fame, and you could, if you want something, just make your, put out the thing, and like, we can't give any more of the posters because they're limited edition, but I'm sure they can be, if
what's
the demand is there, people,
the artwork is out there, and there's other vessels that you potentially could look into possibly, releasing that artwork as well. I mean, I know that perhaps the fans would love to see something like, a coffee table book or a poster, little postcards or something. And, those are just ideas that are coming off the top of my head, but there's just so much possibility. You mentioned to me that you were going to do posters. I said, well, that's amazing, and I know the fans are going to love that.
Right.
And what's really cool about it is that it is kind of a limited edition, so it is really a collector's piece too.
Right.
And you do also have the option where anybody can go to weirdal.com and order a t-shirt of their favorite design.
Personally, it's like as much thing as like if it ever became something like a book, I would be like, oh my, I'm like imagine the rewarding, like you slave away on something or working on something for so long and put so much thought into it, just thinking like, oh, I'm just going above and beyond my color. Like it's rewarding enough to have people really like them in person and have them sign and everybody, and it's even more rewarding to make them a collector's item to me, because I grew up like, collector boy, I get it. Like, so like that makes it fun and like makes them like when everybody has them, it's like, it's not as cool. But like if something did come out to even further distinguish it, I would be like absolutely on cloud nine. Are you kidding me? I mean, I like, that would be like, that would be amazing. So.
Yeah, and speaking as Ethan and I are both collectors, we know how much how much in demand these posters are. And we know how much we want them for our collections ourselves.
Yeah, it's starting to measure like wall space and closet space for the shirts. Like,
how can I put
I'm gonna need to add an
house?
addition to this room.
But one thing you talked a little bit about going above and beyond, and talking about going above and beyond. I want to talk about that set that you did for Jeopardy.
Oh yeah,
so you built an entire Jeopardy set complete with, I don't know how many questions were on the board, but multiple categories and just Just it looked like you walked into the set of Jeopardy at the VIP experience.
Yeah, no,
on
like
the Vanity Tour.
Yeah, no, so that was so basically, we ramped it up to like Jeopardy, yeah. So like I designed that set and like came up with every single way that the cards would flip, how down to the buzzer system. I was like online looking at the buzzer systems are from like a science fair clicking kind of system, like all the pieces. I felt like I was like, how do I do that? Like, how are we gonna make the cards turn? So I like have these diagrams in this notebook that I have like of Jeopardy kebabs is what I call them, because originally it was going to be two rounds. So we were gonna do triangles that flipped, so there could be double Jeopardy, or it would be like, and you could turn the cube kind of like on Wheel of Fortune, but down to a science, like to where like I went, I hit up the guy who does the Wheel of Fish, or who made the Wheel of Fish for us, and I was like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do, and like everybody's like, what, you're crazy, why are you doing that? Like, like came up down to the science of how that worked, and then did it. So like, and fun story, like with the Jeopardy set, like, the Vanna White, that whole bit, like I have this thing in my notebook that says Vanna White bit, like. And that all came about like because like I had no idea how we were gonna make the cards turn other than myself.
Right.
So I was like, what we should like,
So
I
you're gonna
had
be
like
running
this
around.
epiphany of like I had like this vision of like, we'll get somebody to put on a wig and then we'll have them turn the cards. And then that became like, one of the best parts of Weird Al Jeopardy. So, that was
It
like
was so fun.
one of those great things. And you were both contestants on Jeopardy, right?
We both, yeah. I did not have to compete against Dave. I would love to compete against Dave, though. I think that would be really a fun test. But yeah, I competed on the second Apollo show, and I won.
Right.
It was awesome.
And you were in the Apollo show, too, right?
I competed against my wife Jackie and another gentleman at the Apollo show, but I also did get to play in Lexington, Kentucky, Vanna White as well.
That's true. And it's an honor to just perform at the Apollo. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah.
I know.
Just to be on stage and to, like, just to do that is fun. But to do it with Weird Al Jeopardy, wow, what a treat for your family.
That was amazing.
A plaque was had. That's the other thing. It's like, so like we even got down to the details of like, okay. So yeah, like this is great, but like, what are we gonna do for the winners? It's like, let's send them a commemorative plaque. So that became its own, like, it's just like, talk about complicating it for complication's sake, but I think that's what people really enjoy and what resonates.
But they talk about going like above and beyond. No one expected that they were going to get a plaque for participating, for winning, and a different plaque for first, second, and third place, and different medal. You gave out medals that you hung around your neck, and people could for the entire concert walk around, with that medal on.
I remember.
I'm a winner. I competed on Jeopardy.
That's right.
I remember how many people came up to me. They're like, "Oh my God, that was amazing when you were in Jeopardy," because they would see the medal, and it was very cool.
Yeah, it talk about just going above and beyond and just unexpected, and also going above and beyond with those watches that you designed for the VIPs.
Those
two
were
different
cool.
designs. I mean, they were amazing. Just tell us,
so the watches, that was also like, so while Jeopardy's going, like we're working on making Jeopardy, then also we're working on, like, I was like, for whatever reason, like I thought that it would be really cool to have like a Mickey Mouse style watch with Weird Al, like, and then I was like, that would be a cool merch item. Like, little did I know how complicated it is to make one of those.
Oh, really?
Things. Yeah, like they have to make them in China. There's, I believe, something like 70 different custom parts that have to go into something.
Wow.
And then when you start switching out, like making it so there's two different options, it becomes complicated. So that was real. I mean, the thing that became the most, like, validation is the most rewarding thing of anything where you put a bunch of work into something. So, like, getting that, even just the picture of that, when that showed up in Rolling Stone, it's like, oh my God.
Right.
exactly.
Like, it was like, that is just the most validating thing that you could, like, imagine.
Well,
it's
you
like
mentioned the Rolling Stone thing. Let me say, they named Weird Al as like the best value for a VIP experience.
I know that.
That's cool. That's your baby.
Yeah, I know it is a baby. And so that was one of the coolest things that that was so incredibly, like, I mean, just fulfilling, just to have that be like on the list. Like best value. I mean, I was speechless, and it really is. you know, the highlight of anything that's ever happened to me as far as an accolade or accomplishment, besides, you know, getting to work for Weird Al, who was like, I grew up like being like, super into. So like, it's the icing on the cake of a delicious, savory cake, you know? A beautiful cake, a Twinkie wiener sandwich.
Yes.
The icing on a Twinkie wiener sandwich. The
You know-
cheese whiz on a Twinkie wiener sandwich.
Yes.
Fun story about, you know, like what makes it even more rewarding is the fact that, you know, I grew up as a huge fan. When in my like, you know, like pre-tweens, you know, like I read, for whatever reason, I got into, I like was working this thing in Canada, Pemberton Music Festival, and like started listening to Everything I Know Is Wrong again, like on a playlist. And then I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a Weird Al playlist, throwback, and then started like, so then I started listening to like the throwback playlist and doing that. And then, you know, like eventually just like one day, like wrote my bosses an email that was like, hey guys, Weird Al might tour. Like, you know what would be a cool VIP program is if Weird Al had a VIP program. And like, here's what he did last year. He may or may not tour. I'm not sure. Like, but like, I think there's something in value in this. And so like next week, randomly, he drops like the mandatory fun, the whole thing, you know, like it's like, boom, he's everywhere. And then next thing you know, it's like, we've got the VIP program, and, it's like, and you're doing it. And then so to have something that you like sent as like an idea email, like, you know, manifest itself to the point where it's like you're not only like you're doing a game show on the main stage, but it's in Rolling Stone and stuff is, I mean, to say rewarding is an understatement. It's a blessing, and like, I don't know, it's crazy. So
Yeah, we're jumping around a little bit here, but on this tour, you added, on this VIP package, you added professional photography.
yes,
Yeah, so that's amazing. Like, you go in and you're there's this giant backdrop set up, you know, just entirely, you know, for this photo session, and it's just really amazing, well lit. You get a beautiful picture, and you get like an 8x10 and some wallet size printouts, and
you get it that night.
You get it that night, like right there, and you could like have Al sign your picture.
that is correct. Well, yeah, like to we've altered it a little bit too, so that now that you go through the line, and we do a photo option first, and then by the time you reach, so you get to meet Weird Al twice, is what we're saying, which makes it, actually, what we're saying is it's the greatest meet and greet of all time. And
I've never heard of a meet and greet where you get to meet the artist twice.
Yeah, you meet him twice. So
only the best for Weird Al fans.
You go through, only the best. Well, there was a void. We'll get into why there's a void, but we wanted to like soup up the meet and greet so that it was like, this one will be the meet and greet they talk about for the rest of time. So you go through, you get your photo with them, professional studio quality photo, boom. By the time you go to the signing line, and this is a little different than we first did it the first couple times.
Sure.
Your 8x10 is ready to go, and you can have that signed. And the fulfillment of like the way that people like they're walking out like, oh my God, I just got a photo and I just got it signed. Like, I can't believe it. Just the joy alone that you see on these people's faces once they discover that, like, oh my God, like they see their photos there. It's like Six Flags, like all laid out for them. You just grab your photo, go get your thing signed, and we provide a plethora of items for you to get signed. You can get one of the orchestra sheet musics, or the posters, which are unique, or the photo, or you can get his pizza signed as someone asked.
I was going to say, you don't limit it to what can be signed. Anybody can bring any one item of their choice that they want Al to sign, and he will sign it. So that's really cool about this VIP package as well. That's not always available for other artists. VIP is usually they'll say you have to sign my CD, or you have to sign my poster,
or a lot of VIPs you don't get anything signed at all nowadays. So it's really a lot of value. So I agree with Rolling Stone.
You're not going to hear a complaint.
Well, Rolling Stone was right. It is the best value, and we intend to continue to carry the championship belt proudly and display it and be one with the people who have elected us to this position. we're never going to rush. Like, you know, when we did it a while ago, like he was like, oh, we get feedback. I read everybody's feedback, and I care about the feedback because I want it to be the best. And like, we don't rush you. Like, the photo goes quicker than the thing, but like when it comes down to the signing, you got like something to say. You know,
Right.
say what you gotta say. It's like, most of the time it's like, we saw you with the monkeys in like 1987, and they're like, blah blah. Remember that one time Chris Farley show stuff, you know, which is fine.
Yeah.
People say, but you know, some people have really important things. They've been waiting their whole life to say what's up to him, and you know, it's, you know, we love meeting everybody. They're great people, and you know, everybody's, you know,
Sure, and
especially
we
the
know,
VIPs.
right? We know, like, getting to meet, you know, our hero, basically. You know how some people like wait their entire, you know, they get one opportunity, and they really get to feel special when they get to meet him.
Right, and
it's amazing, right?
And as like, you know, so like flashback to what I just talked about. And sorry, this is how I operate. That when you start getting into my kind of lifestyle, just jumping around, we're just talking about different things. But back when I saw him that first time, I can remember specifically like waiting outside by the bus for like a little, because we had thought, but then we left eventually. Like,
right.
So like, you know, I can relate. Like, people think that I'm like, you know, because I'm a little distant or whatever. But like, I know you. Like, I am you. I know like the situation. You know, I can remember that moment. Like, if I met, like, you know, when I was still younger and stuff, I would think that was really, you know, the most amazing thing. You know, who wants their moment rushed? Nobody wants to be rushed when they're trying to give their speech and like. You know, like, they have something like, you know, some people really want to say stuff, and some of them are harder. It's harder for them to articulate. And I think that, you know, the blessing of this new meet and greet system is the fact that we get the photo out of the way, which is the part that takes the thing.
It takes the edge off. You know, you meet Al, and then you're like,
and
all right,
then
now
you've already met him once. It's like, now I've got something else I'd like to say.
Right, we're old friends already. Now we're
yeah, close and personal friends. Yeah,
close personal friends. Yes.
I would love to know, you know, you get to be there for every single fan who meets Al, which is so cool. Mm-hmm. You know, you get to meet a lot of cool people. What are some interesting things that people have signed? Like, what is like completely out of the box?
I mean, gosh, I really don't think there's a lot of tattoos. Another tattoo, like, nothing really interests me to the point that I don't think it's like, it's always the same, like, hey, have you ever signed a spatula before? I bet you never signed one. It's always the same reoccurring jokes, like, it's a picture of Jean-Luc Picard, would you sign that? It's like, yeah, it's like, have you ever signed so, you know, like, the most interesting thing I think that people sign is like, I find it interesting when they come get the same thing signed. It's like, oh, I had this signed, and like...
Oh, they get a thing that's already been autographed.
Yeah, like over and over and over again.
That is interesting.
I guess we signed someone's forehead, you know, like, those are always fun, but it's like, you know, a piece of pizza was good, but, you know, there's really, you know, the stuff signing, nothing really... you know, amuses me.
All right, I put that as a challenge to our listeners. The listeners of Dave Neath's 2008 Weird Al podcast. I want you to find something that's going to make JW's head explode when you take it out.
Right. I doubt, like, anything, but, like, at this point, it's like, oh, cool.
That's
like,
a challenge.
Yeah, like, a puppy, neat, yeah, like, whatever. Like, next.
The first time I ever met Al, I was maybe 13 years old. And this is before there was any VIP experience kind of thing. And the kid in front of me took off his neck brace and had Al sign it. And I was like, are you sure? Like, are you going to be okay? He's like, yeah, we just have to do this quick. And then he put it right back on.
Yeah, see, like, that would be just normal to me.
Right.
So, like, it doesn't, nothing
That's
shocking.
a Tuesday to JW.
Yeah. That's like Tuesday, 10, 11, 15. By like the end, you know, it's like, we've seen so many people that it's like, hey, you remember me? It's like, yeah, totally. I have no idea. Like, who are you? Yeah.
I do want to go back to the Jeopardy.
Please do. Jeopardy's my favorite thing to talk about. So
Okay,
go ahead.
good. Because when I was a contestant on Jeopardy, I know this game is probably very fair, but I felt like maybe there might be a little bit of bias against me as a contestant.
Well,
do you think that perhaps the questions were loaded so that I did not win on Jeopardy?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. You know, the questions every single show. So, like, you know, Jeff Nucera, the great Jeff Nucera, great guy, wrote all the questions, and then I took all the questions and selected them for specific shows and pulled them from the different pockets, and you know, like, so it makes sense. So like, we weren't like, let's say we're geographically in Louisville, Kentucky, and then we're there, like, so every single day is like a different set of questions, and it's completely different. Like, obviously, probably overthinking it a little bit, but it sure was fun at the time. Had a great time doing it, and you know, some of the questions a little tougher than others, you know.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Comically bad in some of them, like where you'd get some of the contestants sometimes that were just like, ooh, this kind of good. And so then, you know, we found the workaround to where we'd like let them select the true. I don't know if you guys were around for like,
yes,
the later when we'd have Denny come out and he'd blow the whistle and like, this guy needs help, and so we'd like let him bring out a person. We'd get more and more people on stage.
Yeah, that was fun. You always would try to involve as many people into the game.
Yeah.
And even on all the different VIP packages, you always make sure everyone feels like they've had, you know, a great experience. And
yeah, to tell you what, on this one, you know, because we can't do the party because the orchestra, you know, I dearly, dearly miss that in my life. So yeah, I hope everybody knows that I want to get back out there and cut it up with you, but it's like there's just no space to do the party with, except for the after party this time.
Right, but you have an entire after party.
That's right, yeah.
And you have a photo opportunity there.
It's actually not an after party. We preferred it to be known as the greatest meet and greet of all time.
Okay.
right.
And moving forward, if anybody listening or any listeners out there refer to it as anything else, I'll take it as a personal insult.
And you will be kicked out of the meet and greet.
We love every single one of you guys. We hope that you come to one of the VIPs. It's a hot ticket right now, so if you...
Yeah, most of them, if not all of them, are sold out. So hopefully people listening already jumped on it. Yeah. But there's always the next tour. Hopefully.
There is always the next tour.
There's always the next tour.
Which, yeah.
Which will be the tape got cut out there. JW gave us all the plans for the next tour, the tour dates. Unfortunately, the recorder did not work.
Right. And I wanted to bring up, you know, I mean, girls just want to have lunch top 5. What's wrong with you?
What was your? We need to do a top 5 with you, JW. That would be great.
Can do a top 5. I'll come back. This was fun. We can do a top 5 of every. Like, you can rate, like, list out things. I'll tell you the top 5 of everything. And pretty much my word is law. You know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, I gotta know though. You took issue with our top 5 of Dare to Be Stupid.
Yeah.
And particularly one song which Ethan and I really love, Girls Just Want to Have Lunch.
Right.
Now, what song would you put off of Dare to Be Stupid in place?
I think that you really overlooked I Want a New Duck.
A great song. It is a great song.
Which is, you know, without I Want a New Duck, there's no Addicted to Spuds, because they're kind of the same business model of the puns on the ducks and the potatoes. They're very similar. They're the same, similar, you know, kind of songwriting model. Like where there's a bunch of jokes about.
It is, yeah. There's a lot of jokes per square foot in that song.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, I Want a New Duck is great. I can't remember, what did you put as number? Like, first of all, Like a Surgeon is number 1.
There was like
I don't think it was
3.
even on there.
No, it was on
the list. Yeah.
I
wish I had the list in front of me so I could.
I mean, yeah.
I know I had to fight for Dare to Be Stupid because Dave didn't want Dare to Be Stupid.
Dare to Be Stupid is a great song, though. I mean, Mark Mothersbaugh like almost weeps at the sight of Dare to Be Stupid and its de-evolutionists. But I will say, you know, like that's what's cool about it, is everybody's, you know, song taste is completely different. There's songs that resonate with me, like, you know, that, you know, people don't necessarily think are as cool. But that was what was cool about the posters. Got to put, you know, like, I'm in charge here. The stuff that I think is great is going in. I will say that, you know, I did, you know, when the Vanity Tour came out, you know, and we still kind of laugh about this, but I was like, I approached Al, I was like, are you not going to play Gotta Boogie? Because I always thought Gotta Boogie was great. I think it's a great song. I think it's like a great song. I think it's hilarious.
And what was his answer?
And he was like, He was like he couldn't believe it. He like didn't think that was a good he was like shocked. He's like, oh my god.
No one's ever said that song out loud. And there you were.
Boogie. Got a boogie.
I love that.
Can't shake it off. I just thought that song was great when I was growing up, and so I was like, that's an original. You're not gonna play that? And I was like, no, we're not playing that at all.
JW, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure to talk to you, and we know you got lots of stuff to go over. We didn't even get to touch on the 501st, so we'll definitely have to have you back. Thanks again.
All right, thank you guys so much, and you know what? The pleasure was all mine. It's great to see you guys, and hopefully I get to see many of whoever's listening, smiling faces at one of the VIPs coming to your town very soon. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. This is John and Zach with Portugal the Man, and you are listening to Dave and Ethan's 2,000-inch Weird Al podcast. Boom.
What a fun interview. JW is such a cool guy. You can catch him on tour with Al for the rest of this month. And of course, if you see JW at the after party, please let him know that Dave and Ethan say hi.
And we want to thank you, all of our listeners. And of course, we want to thank JW for his insightful interview and all the laughs. It was really fun getting to chat with JW at length.
I agree. I hope JW will consider coming back on our show sometime and just sitting down and chatting Weird Al with us.
Totally. And man, that concert at Red Rocks, it's so amazing.
Yeah, I can't get it out of my mind. It's such a wonderful experience. I'm so glad that you could come out and join us, because I know originally you weren't planning on coming, and I still don't understand that decision. But I'm glad that you changed your mind and you decided to come with us. That concert was so amazing. I think we need to take a week off from touring just to let it all soak in. But don't worry, we will be back out again on tour. Actually, we're going out for, can you believe it, 6 concerts in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I mean, that's an area of the country I've never really spent time in. So I'm excited to explore, Seattle and Canada and really get a good feel of that area and meet some friends and fans who I've never actually met in person.
Yeah, I know we have a lot of listeners out in that Pacific Northwest area, especially up there in Canada, in British Columbia. So we're looking forward to meeting you guys as well. Meanwhile, you can check out our bonus centimeter episodes and hear all of our concert reviews and fan reactions. And of course, we have a new full episode on every Wednesday.
Yes, so don't miss those. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at 2000inch. Find us online at 2000inch.com and give us a call, 347-SPATULA.
Yeah, we also have a Facebook group where our listeners can discuss each episode, so please join in on the conversation there. And if you like this podcast, please subscribe. It means a lot to us. We're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere you can find or stream podcasts.
And we have so many great guests coming up this month. And really, we have a lot of great guests lined up for the next several months. We are running out of shows to put people on. We've got so many great guests, so make sure you subscribe, because that's the only way you can get them the second they're released. And we've talked to so many people who literally listen the second it gets released. So thank you for doing that, and tell your friends.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 14-inch.
Hey guys, I have a veritable cornucopia of boxes out at the merch stand if you guys want to take a pic of whatever you need.
I'll take a pic of it.
And I wanted to bring up that we have a variable cornucopia of boxes at the merch stand. And,
Thank you, good night.
Oh, we gotta go.
Yeah.